Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another edition of MJ Everyday, a training-based episode for you guys today, answering the question, should I train to failure? So for those of us who train with weights in the gym, resistance style training, should we be taking muscles to the point where they fail during workouts, during working sets, where they can't lift the weight anymore? Should we be taking muscles past failure with intensifying techniques like rest pause sets and drop sets and double drop sets and myo reps? Should we be going ham in the gym each and every workout, each and every working set to maximize muscle growth? To answer this question, I'm gonna give you guys kind of a broad concept, a broad statement to start off with, and then I'm gonna back it up with my personal experience, having trained to just stimulate muscle growth, not to failure, and then over the last 4 or 5 years training, as hard as I possibly can every single workout and taking muscles past failure for every single working set. So, broad statement, we know that the principle of progressive overload is really what makes muscles grow, what makes muscles, what breaks down muscle tissue, and then what makes muscles re-heal and rebuild and get bigger and stronger. We know that if you're doing the same amount of work, you're putting muscles through the same amount of work each and every workout, there's no reason for them to adapt. There's no reason for them to rebuild and heal and get bigger and stronger. So we understand that as a general concept, and that applies not only to resistance training, it applies to cardiovascular based training, it applies to anything where you're trying to get your body to adapt either physically or psychologically to a certain type of stressor. We understand that principle. And if we kind of take that principle and we extend it and we apply it to resistance training, it then makes sense that if we're not giving our muscles a reason to adapt, a reason to change, a reason to get bigger, a reason to get stronger, they're not going to do it. Our bodies are always trying to reach a state of equilibrium, or trying to reach what we call homeostasis. And if we don't give our bodies a reason to have to adapt outside of homeostasis, it's just not gonna happen. So based on that principle and based on that application, it makes sense to take muscles at least to failure, to the point where the muscle can't lift a particular weight for a certain number of reps or can't perform a certain exercise with a particular weight for a certain number of reps. At least take it to that point and possibly take it past that point, so that we're teaching or encouraging, for lack of a better term, to speak in hypothetical terms, the muscle to adapt and to grow and get bigger and get stronger, so that next time we put the muscle through that particular stressor, it's going to be able to perform much better. Theoretically, that's kind of how the mindset goes. So theoretically, we should be taking muscles at least to failure every single workout, and if you extend that, every single working set that we do, because that is what's going to cause that adaptation process to occur. My personal experience with it, guys, so I've done a bit of both. When I was getting into the health and fitness industry, I kind of, had those newbie gains, so really didn't have to train that hard. And then I went through a period where the newbie gains kind of tapered off, and so I started training to failure and past failure, and started, experimenting with intensifying techniques like drop sets and rest pause and myo reps and all sorts of different intensifying techniques. And then I kind of went back to not training to failure, so just putting the muscle through a certain amount of stress. And then over the last coming up to 6 years now, I've gone back to what you guys now know as TMJ, extended hypertrophy, which is the way I train most of the time, where every single working set that I do is at least to failure, and then usually the last 2 working sets for each and every exercise I do are past failure, using rest pause sets and double drop sets as well. And what I've found over my time training is I found as a newbie, when I first got into the gym, I didn't have to take muscles to failure. Just the fact that I was just, in the gym, training with weights, doing resistance style training, your body, because it's not used to that sort of stimulus, adapts very quickly and grows and gets bigger very, very quickly. But as most of us know who have been training for more than a couple of years, those newbie gains, so to speak, kind of drop off very quickly, and we start to look for ways to keep growing as fast as we possibly can, and to keep changing our body and keep improving our body composition. And then I went through that phase where I was doing that, and it worked. I continued to grow and get better, and not as fast as when I did as a newbie, but I was still making good gains. Then when I went to a period of my training, and the period probably lasted, I'd say probably 3 to 4 years, where I stopped taking muscle to failure because I was experimenting. I'd read a lot of things where people were saying you don't have to. It's almost detrimental to take the muscle to failure every workout because you're causing too much stress, and the body doesn't want too much stress. So you just have to take it, just before you should be comfortable. You shouldn't be failing with your working sets, and you shouldn't be failing with your workouts. You should be training quite comfortably. And I did that for 3 or 4 years, and I didn't stop developing, but my development from a physique perspective definitely slowed down over that period of time. Definitely slowed down. And that's really kind of when I decided to flip my whole training on its head and invent this way of training TMJ extended hypertrophy, as we now know, where I'm taking every single working set to failure through a whole different range of weights and through a whole different range of reps as well for each working set, for each particular exercise that I do for every muscle group. And without a doubt, and those of you who followed me for a long time and have seen my physique develop over the last 4 or 5 years, or 5 or 6 years now, using the TMJ extended hypertrophy style of training, there's no doubt that I've made probably the best gains I've ever made over that 5 to 6 year period, transitioning from natural bodybuilding to a men's physique athlete. I don't think it's almost undeniable, and I'm actually going to get I'm going to get Timmy Turner, our IT professional, to throw up some before and after photos. So a before photo from when I was competing in natural bodybuilding, and kind of on that cusp of going from not training to failure to the TMJ extended hypertrophy, and then a photo from last year when I achieved my IFBB pro status in men's physique, having used TMJ extended hypertrophy for a significant period of time. I think it's almost, based on my personal experience and based on what I'm just showing you guys now, it's almost undeniable that yes, you should be training to failure. And yes, it's more difficult than not training to failure, guys. There's no question about it. You're gonna have to work a lot harder. The intensity of your workouts is gonna have to be a lot higher. You're gonna get a lot sorer, but in my personal opinion, my personal experience, the theory backs up the fact that we should be pushing muscles to failure each and every workout. My personal experience backs up that theory and then extends it to the point that I've had the best gains of my life, not including my newbie gains, the best gains of my life as an athlete in this sport, taking every single working set that I do to failure, not just every workout, not just every exercise, but every single working set to failure. So I think it's undeniable that the answer to this question is yes, you should be taking muscles to failure. You should be training to failure. It really is theoretically, anecdotally, empirically, however you want to cut it, everything kind of leads towards that. It leads towards working as hard as you possibly can in the gym, taking muscles past the point that they want to go, and really giving them a reason to adapt, grow, and get stronger. And guys, that's a wrap for today's episode of MJ Every Day. As always, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, turn your post notifications on both on your mobile, your cell phone, and your desktop PC so you don't miss a beat when it comes to the Massive Joes YouTube channel. Until tomorrow, I'm coming to you from MassiveJoes.com. Stay massive.